It is day 71 of the 100 Days of Making Comics Challenge. I'm Joshua Kemble, and the 100 Days of Making Comics is the challenge started by my good friend Kevin Cross, who, if you haven't subscribed to his channel, you should subscribe to it. What are you doing watching a 100th video, not having subscribed to Kevin Cross? So anyhow, so I am heading I'm heading home, and I am basically thinking about what I'm going to do for my 100 Days Challenge. I'm working on Quarterly Stories, which is my graphic novel about faith and mental illness. It's a very personal story to me that I hand write, hand letter, hand ink, hand draw, and then hand to you. And I'm basically just, like, it was a crazy day at work. I had to work overtime. We're watching my sister's daughter. So I get to be Uncle Josh for the day, which is pretty awesome, as well as being dad. So I'm excited about getting home and playing with the kids, hoping I get some time to play with the kids, because it's probably going to be about bedtime by the time I get home. But I'm really eager about that. But then after that, I really do need to get in my 30 minutes minimum on my comic. And I think I'm either going to do photo references, which I do take a lot of photos for this comic. I want it to be very photorealistic, and honestly, the more reference you can get, the better for this style that I'm working in. And I've roughed out the last page. I'm really excited about it. Well, it's the second to last page. The last page is going to be a bigger, either 2-panel or a spread. So I'm working on the second to last page. So I'm excited about that. I'm excited about the way the narrative wraps up. I'm really proud of actually the way this chapter ends. I feel like it's very powerful, but it's also kind of funny. And that's the line I've been trying to dance with Quarterly Stories, because my comic is about faith and mental illness, and mental illness can get really heavy in the way that I'm writing, where it's very candid and descriptive of what the experience is like to kind of go through depression. And so I am trying to kind of occasionally lighten the load of the story, and I'm pretty happy with that. So but what I need to do tonight is either take photo reference, which I also usually get help from my wife with, like, because I'll post for photos, she'll post for photos, and she may not feel up to it, honestly, because she's been watching 2 kids all day, and, we're used to being, parents of 1 child, and so when you're used to only having 1 kid, you add another kid in that equation. I know parents out there with, like, more than 1 kid are just like, that's easy, but for us, it's like, that's extra, like, crazy and hard to do. So she's probably, I'm suspecting, going to be a little bit tired. And so if I'm not able to do photo references tonight, like, I may not honestly be able to do them, then I'll probably end up doing layout. I'm working on my rough layout, which I tend to do after the thumbnails. I like to come up with a rough layout and do type and work on my grid and my panels in Illustrator, and then go from there. So we'll see how that goes, but I'm kind of excited about that. I was happy to have the opportunity to talk to my buddy Chris Caligua, and you guys can find him at Sketchboy01 online. He does a lot of t-shirt design, poster design, comics. He does a brilliant comic called The Sunless Circus. And we had him on Artcasters yesterday, and it was nice because I haven't been able to talk to him for a while. And I even said on the show that the downside of being like one of these people who, like, makes stuff and is constantly busy making stuff, and then also, you're making a living doing art, which is a bit of a hustle and takes a lot of time out of your day. The one kind of negative side of that is that, it takes time, and you're always busy. You're constantly busy. So there's people I really care about from college that I just don't get to see very often. And so it was nice to have Chris on the show. It was nice to catch up. It was nice to talk comics. was nice to talk about conventioning and conventioning tips. So I'm overall feeling really good. The downside, of course, of leaving work late too is it's a Friday, and so the traffic is insane. I'm just letting you guys know kind of like the scenario that I'm recording this vlog in. So I have that going on. I have I'm thinking a lot about dual things, which I feel is a good description of kind of how I work as an artist. When I go to work as an art director, I kind of try to mentally put myself in a position of I'm having to manage people, I'm having to get compliance and get people to do things that sometimes they don't want to do, but most of it's artistic stuff. But they might not agree with the design decision, but there has to be a decider, and that's part of my role there. And another thing is, my role is to represent the clients and what the clients are wanting and what the reps who rep the clients are wanting. And so there's this kind of it's just kind of this zone that you have to get into in order to, and a mindset in order to do that and deal with the amount of multitasking we do at my job. The place I work deals with a lot of artwork, a lot of revisions. It's a very fast turnaround, and it's got very small periods of slow, mixed with like we're just ramping up and getting closer and closer to rush season. And rush season is when we're just packed and we're always too busy. So anyhow, so I have that going on, and I'm also training a new employee. So work is like, it feels like I have to get in a different mindset in order to work at the place that I work. And part of that is like a mindset that's okay with kind of focusing and then dropping focus and switching focus and switching tasks and switching roles. Like sometimes I have to function as a graphic designer, sometimes I have to function as a mentor, sometimes I have to function as just your typical work manager, sometimes I have to function as a high creative, and sometimes I have to function as just a production artist. It's a job where I'm constantly juggling, and so I get in this zone and kind of get in the flow at that job. But it's like I've kind of geared myself with little tricks. Like, for instance, the way I dress when I go to work, I dress very professionally. There are reasons for that. Like, a lot of my job requires me to deal with salespeople, and so I'll, get dressed up so that I can, represent my company well, come across as very professional when I'm working. And also, it's for me mentally, it's a nice way for me to check into work and check out of work. When I'm off work, I take off my tie, and that's part of the way that I kind of gear myself to mentally switch gears, and when I switch gears, I can get into the mode of the personality I have when I do comics, which has to be very focused and very patient and spend lots of time on art. So I go from this quick, fast-paced art, has to be done yesterday kind of mode, and I have to multitask and juggle all these billion things, to a mode of I need to find a window, like a little window, 30 minutes, whatever it is, and then I need to really tune in and be able to get my comic done. So it feels like I'm kind of juggling those two things, and I don't know, I just it's interesting because sometimes it is very hard to switch gears in those two modes of working. But it's also really refreshing, and it gives me fuel when I get home to work on my own personal stuff. And this comic is like very personal to me. And by personal, that doesn't mean it's not going to be appealing to other people. It's just that it's something I really care about. It's a story that I really passionately feel needs to be told. It touches on subjects that are hard to write about. Like, the majority of what I'm writing about is a period of time where I had gotten so mired in depression that I had become suicidal. And this is not, like, I've never been, like, a person who was, like, highly suicidal or anything like that. I've always had depression issues as a person. And I've gotten, I think, not over it, because I don't know if you ever really overcome mental illness, but I've figured out what my enemy is in my head, like the enemy of depression or whatever that is, and I have kind of geared myself to be able to recognize it for what it is, and I have better ways of dealing with the emotions that, you know, come along with depression, and also better outlooks that do assist me when it comes to dealing with depression. But there was a time, like quite a few years ago, that, and this is the time that I decided to mine for material for my comic, where it was so heavy that, to me, a very rational conclusion was to just kill yourself, which is crazy. I mean, it's not crazy, actually. Like, when you're in it, you don't feel crazy, and then people tell you you're crazy, and that makes you feel more and more frustrated and go through this whole loop and spiral kind of thing. But and it's uncomfortable to even talk about, because it's not something it's a lot easier for me to write about it, and it's even uncomfortable to write candidly about it and try to be really objective and honest about it. But that's the material I've chosen to kind of deal with. And so anyhow, like, it's weird because it's a very personal story, and it requires like an immense. I'm gonna sound like I'm overblowing it, but I'm kind of in a mood to sort of be a little dramatic. But I mean, it requires kind of an outpouring of this thing that I feel I have to make, and it's an outpouring that's very emotional, and also not disconnected from, like, the concern of the people that I want to read it. I want people who read this comic when it comes out to really relate and be interested. But at the end of the day, my end goal in this is whatever way I get the book out, whether it's through a publisher, whether it's through self-publishing, whether it's running a Kickstarter, whether it's just putting it up on Amazon with no announcement, whatever method I choose to kind of get the book out there, what I want as an end product is a book that I can be proud of. And not just a book that I can be proud of like books that I've illustrated for clients, a book that I am personally invested and proud of. Because a lot of stuff I put out as an illustrator that got probably more readers than anything I'm going to work on my own might garner. But the thing is, I've had stuff succeed that had my art on it. I've had that feeling. I still get a kick out of it. Even at my job, whenever we make products that have artwork that I made on it, I do have a real feeling of pride kind of come over me when I know I did a good job on something and did the best I could. But with my personal work, there's a totally different level of satisfaction when it's done and it's something I'm proud of, because there are illustrations and poster designs I did that may not sell as well as some of the more successful ones, and yet they're the ones I look back and I feel really proud of. And I don't feel proud of them just because I got a paycheck. I feel proud of them because I feel like they're really saying something. And I really think with this comic, I'm in that territory of like kind of an emotional outpouring onto a page, but also that balance with, a very good story structure that will hopefully, the goal is to provide people with entertainment because it's a book, but also to try to say something about truth and beauty, because I'm trying to capture what that experience has been really like for me in my life, and the end goal of that is to kind of hopefully help people who are going through similar scenarios to not feel alone, which I think provides a massive comfort when you're in the throes of whatever mental illness, like to know that you're not completely crazy, you're not alone, is like a massively huge thing. So that all probably sounds very corny, but it kind of has to be corny because it's a personal comic, and I'm trying to write it in a way that's authentic and true, and will hopefully, because I think that authenticity and truth really have a lot to do with comfort and forgiveness. And so I think that I'm rambling a lot on this vlog, and I'm not even sure what my point is. I think that what I'm thinking about is just the fact that mode that you have to get into to make a deeply personal work like that is very different than the mode I have to get to at work. However, there are some commonalities. One is I take a lot of pride in a job well done, and so I'm a pretty serious worker, and I'm a hard worker. I don't sleep a lot because I want to do effectively at my job, and I don't mind staying overtime if I have to get the job done well. And I don't really rush my pages too much because I really want my pages to be the best pages I can make at the time. So there's commonality like in execution, there's commonality in that kind of mindset, but it's the personal part that really keeps me having fuel to kind of keep up with something like this 100 Days Challenge. Because at the end of the day, so far, I'm not seeing really a window where this book that I'm working on, that I care very much about, that I wish would, draw like 1 million people to, like they'd read it and they'd subscribe to this YouTube channel and they'd, have an outpouring of support and stuff like that for the book. I would love that result, but what I'm saying is like, I do think that the people who give it a chance and read it like it a lot, and I do think it's probably the best thing I've worked on. It's my best work. It's the thing I'm going to feel the most proud of because it is the thing I'm the most proud of. That said, it's still like it's still jarring a little bit to kind of have to switch gears from this thing that I'm so means a lot to me, and doesn't mean a lot in like a fragile, I can't take criticism kind of way. It means a lot in I know I'm making something of value, and it's value that may not even be monetary, but it's definitely a valuable book that I'm working on. And so to switch from that to like where I'm making stuff that's specifically for consumers, and it should be beautiful, or it should be cool, or it should be whatever adjective could describe it. It also is limited. Like, it's not very personal at all. It doesn't matter what my tastes are if when it comes to client. I mean, there's certain design principles that come into play at my day job, but aside from that, like, it's not personal, it's just business. And it is interesting switching gears, and I feel like I'm getting a little better at it, but I don't know. Anyhow, this video's already like close to 20 minutes, and I was planning on hopefully making a short update so it doesn't take a long time to upload. The nice thing is it's a Friday, so worst case scenario, since my computer's ancient and takes a long time to export stuff, worst case scenario, you guys will be seeing this tomorrow, but rest assured, I am going to do my 30 minutes when I get home. I think I'm going to leave this up because I've been trying to do the videos very short, and I've said this on the videos before, that go along with this challenge, just to kind of fulfill the necessity of documenting the process of doing each 100 days, and also to hold myself accountable to actually sticking with it. But I do miss like having longer vlogs where I'm kind of reaching out and just kind of having conversation with all the people who actually do support my channel and have been with me for a while. So anyhow, so that's kind of what's going on in my brain right now. I'm not quite sure what the crux is. I'm not sure what the point is. I'm not sure what I'd hashtag this with that would be trendy or anything like that. I just have a lot on my mind. And I also think the fact that I haven't had a lot of sleep all week is making my mind a little tangential, like it's running all over the place in different tangents. And I do feel like there's a commonality in theme in what I'm talking about, but I'm not quite sure what that is. And I think I'm a little too, just my body's running on just survival mode, to really even piece that together into a nice little succinct ending. So I just hope I'm making sense is all I'm saying. I feel like I may not be making any sense. So let me know in the comment section if what I'm saying is making any sense at all. Maybe you guys have like a common thread to kind of tie this together in like a solid conclusion, because I feel like I just threw out a bunch of theses, and there's not feces. Don't throw feces. That's a terrible thing to do. But theses, TH, that's a pretty good thing to throw around, slang and theses. Oh my gosh, I'm a nerd. I'm like a word nerd. I can't stop myself when I'm kind of sleepy from just getting kind of stupid and silly. But I do like that slang and theses thing. That's pretty funny. All right, so that sucks. I'm gonna have to edit that bit out. Hopefully I'll remember to edit it out at like 3 in the morning when this thing's done uploading. I have a bit of a sore throat still. My son is totally better. He had like a cold this last week, and I felt really bad for the little guy. One of my dogs has an infection, we think, and had some testing done today, so I'm also looking forward to seeing if my dog is healthy. I really love my dogs. I even have 2 of my dogs, one of which is still alive and in my comic, because he's just a sweetie pie. But yeah, so I'm hoping that that news is positive. And then I'm just kind of like, I'm trying to just kind of flow with being in the present. Like right now I'm in my car and thinking about comics. And I'm actually feeling pretty good because I am in the present, and I'm planning for the future, but I'm trying not to be like freaked out or worried about it, because at the end of the day, and I've talked about this on the vlog multiple times, but the way I view the comic I'm working on is it's a very it's like the tortoise and the hare, and the comic book world is definitely the tortoise form of making art. It's you're going very slow. You get these little milestones, and then those milestones add up and add up and add up until you make this thing that people can read in like 15 minutes, maybe in an hour, maybe at most a day, and you spent 10 years on it or something. But that's the nature of comics, and so I am just kind of, I don't know, it's weird. I'm in a good mood today. But I'm just thinking randomly about a lot of things, and I don't know. I could probably keep rambling because that's just the way my brain's working right now. So I'm gonna shut up about me, and like I said, ask you guys if any of this is making sense. Am I just delirious because I haven't had sleep? But one thing I'll also say that makes me feel like I'm in a good mood, and that even this delirious rambling, I kind of want to throw online, because I actually I also think I should humble brag a little bit. Maybe not even humble brag. I'll just legitly brag that it's day 71 of the 100 days of making comics. I am 29 days away from done with this thing if I stick to it, and I don't see why I wouldn't stick to it at this point, because I'm way over the middle point. I'm almost at 3/4 of the way done, and that is a huge thing for me, because I have to admit, especially around the 50s, I just started wondering if I could even do this, and at this point it's starting to feel ingrained, it's starting to feel good, and it's starting to feel feasible and possible to actually hit that end goal. And I think the 100 days challenge is a nice little, it's almost like a good analogy for what making comics is like anyway. Because comics, you attack it, you work it, you rework it, and like I said, eventually you end up with something that's kind of amazing it even happened. And can kind of blow people away who don't do comics, or look really easy to people who don't look comics, because you put enough time into your comic to make it look easy. I don't know. Anyhow, so I will admit to starting to feel kind of proud of getting this far, and excited about getting to that last day. And I will tell you what, I might end up going directly into the 100 days very shortly after the 100 days are over. Like, I might go into my next one, and probably with videos that aren't quite as long. Long's the wrong word. Probably with videos that are shorter videos, but like compiled, so they'll make longer videos, and then I don't have to bug everybody once every day. So that's something I'm kind of curious about in the chats too, like the comment section right down here. Do you guys have any take on that? Like, what do you prefer? Would you prefer, like, a video that's days 1 through 7, or would you like a video that is literally I just misused literally, so I think I just lost my word nerd abilities. Anyhow, would you guys prefer long or short videos, and would you prefer videos that are like maybe once a week updates as opposed to daily updates? Like, what's your preference? Because I can kind of cater that around you guys, especially once I hit 100 on this. I think I'm going to continue doing the 100 days in the way that I'm doing it, because right now that's what's manageable. But I am curious to know if you guys would be okay if I did end up doing a second round of the 100 days after this is over. Would you prefer it to be once a week as opposed to once every day? And then that once a week update can get into the nuts and bolts of what I've been doing every day for the challenge. So something to think about and comment in on the comment section. And now I'm gonna get home, and then I will probably touch base with you guys after I've done either the rough layout, which is what I call, when I'm doing my guides and stuff like that in Illustrator, which is an Adobe program. Anyhow, so yeah, I'm curious about that. I'm curious what you guys think about, like, whether that's preferable to the daily updates. Right, so anyhow, I appreciate you guys for taking what now is a ridiculously long period of time watching these videos, and I hope you guys are getting something out of it. Like, I really do. And outside of that, I think that's it. I mean, outside of that, I think I'm so tired right now, I don't even have a wrapping up phrase. But anyhow, I wanted to thank every one of you who supported my comic, who's gone to topis.io and subscribed to Quarterly Stories. And it's unlike a lot of sites where you don't really subscribe, you just kind of add it to your library. But I really wanted to thank you guys who've done that, because it really has been like a little rocket boost for me while working on this daunting thing. And then outside of that, I just wanted to thank everybody who's answered some of those questions in the comment section, or like these videos, or just hit subscribe right down here, which you can do. And I always forget which side of the screen it's on, but I will tell you, it either down here has a button that says subscribe, or it's down here. And then you guys, if you leave a comment, it's down there. And that's how tired I am. I'm pointing out locations that I'm not even sure of their existence. But I'm going to wrap this up because it's getting crazy, and then I'll follow up with you guys once I've got my 100 days in. Boom. Okay, so here is the rough layout for the next page of Quarterly Stories. It is day 72 of the 100 days of making comics. I'm just going to group this in with the video for day 71. Yesterday I did the rough layouts for page, I can't even remember the page, but I think it's like page 63 of Quarterly Stories. And then today I just for
for my day 72 took photo references for this page, and so what I'm going to do is basically just group this in with my update, and that'll be it for day 72. So yeah, it's a little early on day 72 to kind of finish, but that should do it. So tomorrow I should start to hand letter and hand ink the panel borders and the type, and then we'll get going. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section. And I know this is a little bit longer of a video, so I'm trying to keep day 72s a little shorter. And I will see you guys tomorrow when I work on inking the page. So, well, inking the panel borders and type. All right, thanks to those of you who subscribed, commented, liked, and shared these videos. It means a lot, and I'm excited to see you guys tomorrow on day 73.